So what are our first mods for the Onyx CTY2? That's coming right up. Hey everyone, my name is Rick Cordero. Welcome to RunPlayBack, where we help you with EV tech tips to lead a more efficient and affordable lifestyle. Let's be creative and save money at the same time. Today we're going to check out the first mods we made for our Onyx CTY2 motorbike. We'll talk about what we did and share links to all the parts in the description. So let's get to it. So our first mod is this light bar. Now we did like the, stock headlight, but we think the light bar just has a better, I guess, more futuristic feel. Kind of matches some of the lines of the bike. And this is actually on Amazon for really cheap. We'll put a link in the description. We also added this custom number plate, which is just ABS plastic that I cut out and put some black vinyl over it, as well as white vinyl for the Onyx logo. You'll also notice that I use the Onyx stock brackets to attach the light. So the hardware that comes with the light actually just fits right into here. So you don't have to change anything. It's kind of the easiest way to mod the headlight. To wire the headlight is super simple. If you open up the battery case, you'll see all this wiring over here, but if you trace the headlight wiring, it's pretty obvious that it's these two wires. So I use these spade crimp connectors and just added it to the ends of the light bar, and they fit right into the positive and negative of the Onyx CTY2. Black is negative, green is actually positive, the yellow is for high beam. Since the LED light doesn't have high beam, I just left it off, but if you find a light bar with high beam, you could just do the same thing and add a spade connector and connect to this. And it routes right through the frame. You don't have to extend it with additional wiring or anything. And like our Onyx RCR, we added the David Shaw fender, the magnetic fender, this fender that you can find on Amazon, and it has these strong earth magnets on the bottom. So the next mod that we did was this USB light strip. So this is a pretty cool light strip that I found on Amazon. It's really thin. The wiring is just long enough to reach the USB port right here. You don't actually have to wire it into the internal wiring of here. You could do it if you want to keep it cleaner, but I was going for something that was just super simple, plug and play. It's actually long enough that it goes along the left side, comes underneath, under the frame, and then back around here to the right side and all the way up here. And then I just trimmed it, cut it so that it was matching and flush with the left side. At night, it's super bright. The USB port is fixed, so you can, charge your phone or add accessories, and it works perfectly. Doesn't mess up the battery or anything. A really cool mod that I did that's super subtle, it's not even obvious unless you really look closely at the bike, is that the display, which used to hang out over here, and then this part was sort of like dipping over the headlight, I moved back. Since the old headlight actually covered this space was totally wide open, and it was more obvious that the display was jutting out over the bike, so I wanted to move it back a little bit. So I actually used these brackets which come with the headlight and mounted them to the stem, and now it's sitting in the middle of the bars, and it just has like a better profile. It looks more aerodynamic, subtle, but really clean, and I like that. The next mod we did that was also cosmetic was this Puch mini racer seat. This is a replica of some of the classic vintage moped seats that you've seen. You could get this on Treatland, kind of like a shorter seat than the stock Onyx seat. I think this is what they actually offered for the original CTY. For whatever reason, they wanted to do the regular RCR seat, but I kind of like the look of this. Because the seat is shorter, it makes the step through more accessible, it makes it look cleaner, and you have this little rise over here, and it makes it look more aerodynamic and kind of aggressive, which is cool. You might have to modify these bolts a little bit, and by modify I mean you probably have to spread them out using like a mallet or something like that. It wasn't quite fitting, it was a little too narrow to fit on the frame brackets. So not a big deal, pretty easy, and then they just push right on. Next is a rear fender, and this is actually from our Sur-Ron. So this is a Sur-Ron fender. You could find this on Amazon. And the way I mounted it was I drilled 2 holes, kind of like in the center-ish of the fender. And then I used these 2 long skateboard bolts, and I just connected it to the bottom of the frame, and you have these 2 holes over here to mount it, and pretty easy. It really looks like it was made for the bike. It's not too big. I like what it looked like on the Sur-Ron, and it looks just as good on the Onyx CTY2. Another cosmetic mod that we did are these white spoke covers. We do like the white rim over here, very clean. It just matches everything. It looks good, makes the white stand out a little bit more. And finally, we added these Ego Boost adjustable shocks. You can find these on Treatland. It is adjustable. I need it to be as soft as possible possible since I'm not that heavy. And when I first installed it, I didn't really notice a big difference from the stock. As I've been riding it more often, I think it's been broken down a little bit, so I can feel the shocks working a little bit more. It's not gonna feel like a Sur-Ron, it's not gonna feel like off-road suspension. It is slightly better than the stock. Okay, next we're gonna change the settings on the controller using the Kelly Controller app. Now, all this information you can find on John Angel's blog under Sicko Mode. So it shows you how to download the app, how to install it, and how to connect it to the Bluetooth. So I'll put a link in the description so you can see how to do that. But let's jump right into changing the settings. So we'll turn on the bike and we will connect the Kelly Controller app. This is a warning. Yes to continue if the motor is not running. Yes. We'll select Bluetooth. Yes. And then you click down here. It'll ask you for the paired devices and you choose the string of numbers up here on top. It'll say down below on the app connected, then you hit the R button to read. Okay, so these are the stock settings that are on the bike. So what we're gonna do is change it to just give it a little bit more torque. You could play with these settings. I kind of copied and pasted from Champ Mode on John Angel's blog. But you know, the controller is slightly different, so I think some of the parameters you could play with, but these settings I found work really good. And they don't actually cut off the bike or anything, but you could try different settings if you want. We think that this is a good middle ground of increasing the performance without killing the battery or doing any big mods like adding heat sinks or stator aid or that kind of thing. First, we're gonna look at the current percent. So the current percent is set at 100. This is different from the RCR where it's set a little bit lower. I think that has something to do with the battery or the BMS that they're using. But either way, it's set at 100%, even though I think it's being limited. Next, we're gonna see the battery current limit, which is 25. So we're gonna set that to 100. And what this does is, it basically removes the battery amp limit. Next, we're gonna change the normal and eco modes. So you'll notice over here, max forward speed is 100%. Mid-speed and low speed are basically normal and eco, with max being sport. So 100% means 100% power. And when we tested the bike before, top speed was 48 miles per hour. So 100% is 48 miles per hour. So when you change a percentage, that'll give you the speed limit. So we changed, so stock normal mode was kind of too low, so it was set at 35%, and I think it was giving us like maybe 20 miles per hour. So we want to set that to about 30, so we're going to change that to 80. Mid-speed, forward speed 80, and then for eco, eco will keep at 30, which limits it to about 18 miles per hour. So next we are going to the next menu screen. And over here, which is the RLS TPS brake percentage. So what this does is it disengages full-time active regen. So when you change it to 0, it basically gives you the performance of a freewheel. So regen doesn't kick in when you let go of the throttle in sport mode. Next, we'll change the Accel Time. So Accel Time is where you're gonna notice the biggest difference. It's set at 5 for stock. 4 was good, but we felt like 3 was still manageable. Since it's only 60 volts, it's not, you know, it's not like the RCR when you change the Accel Time. So 3 seems to be good for us. It gives you just the right amount of punch without feeling like you're gonna wheelie or it's gonna throw you off the bike or anything. And then we're gonna change the torque speed KP, torque speed KI, and the speed error limit. So these 3 things, I don't know exactly what they do, but we're gonna follow John Angel's blog and we're gonna change these parameters, change 2000 to 4000. We'll change the torque speed KI from 60 to 110. And then we'll change the speed error limit from 1000 to 1100. Okay, so once you have all the settings changed, then you're gonna hit right. hit the W button, and you're gonna get a message, data write complete. You hit OK. Just wanna read it again to make sure that the setting's saved. And it looks like all the settings saved. Next, we'll take it out on the road and see how it performs. Okay. This should be a good area to test the settings. All right, here we go. So I don't have full battery, but this should be fine just for testing purposes. All right, so the acceleration is definitely way more powerful. I'm definitely reaching top speed much faster. The torque is stronger, but it's still pretty smooth. It's still pretty smooth. You know, kicks in about 3 seconds, which is what the Accel Time setting was. Full power in 3 seconds, so that's pretty accurate. There is no regen, so I am freewheeling it. Once I let go of the throttle, that feels good. Really nice. Yeah, I mean, the acceleration is just way more lively. You definitely feel the power of the bike in this mode. It feels like it's more unlocked. You still get that smooth throttle, but you just get it much faster. Very nice. We'll make a right over here. All clear. Now let's kick it into normal mode. Let's see if it limits me in normal mode. Okay. So normal mode is actually, so normal mode is capping me at 40. So maybe I was a little bit high on the settings. So if we lower that to probably 70, then it'll cap me off at 30 miles per hour. What's interesting about the different modes, eco and normal, is that once you go past the speed limit and you hit the throttle again, it almost regens for you just to bring you back down, which is kind of a strange feeling, but that's fine. But overall, yeah, the torque increase is really nice. It doesn't seem to be cutting off, despite, you know, removing the battery limit. I think these settings are just right in the middle, not too powerful. Again, it's only 60 volts, so you're not gonna get that 72 volt kick, but it is giving you those 60 volts in a much faster, more fluid way. So really nice. These are really good settings. Highly recommend. And again, if you have better settings, you let me know. But the fact that you can change everything through the Bluetooth app is really awesome. And you know, sort of at your own risk, right? If you mess something up, can't guarantee that you won't mess anything up if you don't know what you're doing, or if you change the wrong setting. But these settings that I have chosen seem to be just right for the stock CTY2. You know, I've had this bike for maybe, you know, a month and a half, 2 months maybe, and I've really grown to like it a lot. And a lot of people that I've let ride it love the feeling of it, you know. And most of these guys are Sur-Ron guys. Most of them are coming from like stunt riding, and you know, they kind of enjoy the feel of the CTY2. If you want to sort of do some really professional upgrades, you know, I would hit up Dat Shop NYC. Alvin will have, you know, a swing arm. He's working on some CTY2 stuff right now. Some harnesses for like lighting and things like that. So definitely look into the stuff he's doing. But you know, these mods that I did are really designed just to be plug and play, to just really be cosmetic stuff, just to kind of get you started. I kind of like the look of the CTY2. I think you don't really have to do too much to this bike. I think it just has like a really classic look. The mahogany battery cover gets so many compliments. Obviously with the RCR the same way, but I think because it's angled down, it's just more visible. It's a little bit bigger, so it's the first thing that people see when they acknowledge the bike.
So those are the first mods we made to our Onyx CTY2 motorbike, and we shared all the links to the parts in the description. In the next video, we'll attempt to install 14-inch wheels on the bike with the help of our friends over at Detroit Moped Works. If you have any questions or suggestions, just leave them in the comments below.
If you want to dive into more EV tech tips, click the links on the side and remember to like and subscribe so we can help you find tech deals that fit your lifestyle. We'll see you guys in the next video.